Imagine standing at the edge of a great waterfall, watching tons of water crashing down with tremendous power. Now imagine capturing just a fraction of that energy and using it to light up entire cities, drive machinery, or even power the future of civilization. This is the kind of vision Nikola Tesla had, not just for electricity, but for the entire trajectory of human progress. In the essay, The Problem of Increasing Human Energy, Tesla doesn't simply talk about electricity or machines. He addresses a much broader question. How can humanity increase its capacity to thrive? How do we maximize our energy, not just in the physical sense, but in moral, intellectual, and societal ways? Tesla believes that the progress of humankind is fundamentally tied to one thing: increasing human energy. But what does that really mean? Tesla starts by identifying that the entire universe operates on energy. Just like the planets spin and the stars shine, human civilization is also a system driven by energy. Every improvement, every innovation, and every act of social or economic progress is, in essence, an increase in the effective energy available to humanity. When we solve problems or build something new, we're not just making tools, we're unlocking energy in new and creative ways. He explains that energy can be understood in three main ways: how it is gathered, how it is conserved, and how it is directed. And these three ideas become the framework for understanding the challenges facing human civilization. The first major concept Tesla discusses is how we gather energy. At the time he wrote this essay in 1900, most energy came from burning coal. Tesla respected the contributions of steam and combustion engines, but he saw their limitations. Coal was dirty, finite, and geographically uneven. His vision was grander. He imagined harnessing the natural forces of the earth itself. He saw the sun as the ultimate source of all energy on the planet and believed that the future of human energy lay in capturing that force directly. Here, Tesla's mind moves to a radical idea. What if we could harness energy from the environment directly, without fuel? He talks about capturing the energy from the sun, the wind, and the heat of the earth itself. This wasn't just a scientist dreaming. It was an inventor offering a blueprint for a new era. He even suggests the possibility of wireless energy transmission, sending power through the air without wires. For Tesla, this wasn't science fiction. It was the inevitable next step. But gathering energy is only part of the story. The second principle Tesla focuses on is conservation, how we prevent the waste of energy and use it efficiently. He draws an analogy to a machine. No matter how powerful your engine is, if your gears are inefficient or poorly aligned, most of your effort is lost in friction. The same applies to society. If people are divided, if there is conflict or inefficiency in institutions, then much of the potential energy of civilization is wasted. And here, Tesla's essay becomes more than technical. It becomes deeply philosophical. He points to human unity as the key to conserving energy. War, hatred, and competition drain civilization's power. He believed that true progress would only be possible when humanity learned to act more as a unified organism. Tesla had witnessed the destructive power of war firsthand and believed that peace was not just a moral imperative, it was a practical one. Only by reducing friction in our relationships and institutions can we truly conserve our energy. This leads him to ask, how can we increase harmony in society? How do we align our values, eliminate conflict, and synchronize our efforts? Tesla believed that education, shared knowledge, and global communication would be critical. He imagined a world where information flowed freely and where technology helped bridge the gaps between people and nations. In this way, he predicted the internet long before it was even possible. The third and final pillar of Tesla's vision was the direction of energy, how we use our resources, not just how we gather or conserve them. He explains that power without direction is chaos. A flood of energy without purpose can be destructive, but when energy is guided with intelligence and vision, it creates beauty, progress, and meaning. So, how do we direct energy wisely? Tesla argues that this comes down to the spirit of invention. He saw the inventor as a spiritual figure, a person who channels the force of nature into something useful for mankind. But invention doesn't only happen in laboratories. Every person, in their own way, is capable of directing energy, whether by building, creating, educating, or healing. Tesla offers a surprising insight here. He believes that morality is itself a form of energy direction. When people act with kindness, justice, and empathy, they help society move forward. When they act selfishly or destructively, they scatter the energy that could have been used for something greater. In this sense, every human decision becomes an energy decision. Throughout the essay, Tesla constantly returns to one central question: what increases human energy? And the answers he offers are surprisingly balanced. He doesn't say that technology alone will save us, nor does he claim that moral virtue is enough without innovation. Instead, he shows that progress comes from a combination of physical energy, like electricity, intellectual energy, like ideas, and moral energy, like unity and purpose. All three are essential. Tesla even dives into health and personal well-being. He writes about the importance of physical vitality, fresh air, proper food, and exercise. These too are forms of energy management. A healthy individual, he says, contributes more to society than a sick one. Thus, caring for the body is not selfish. It's a service to humanity. He also warns of complacency. When societies become too comfortable, they slow down. He compares them to a machine that's lost its momentum. He suggests that challenges and obstacles are necessary to keep us sharp, motivated, and growing. Struggle, in other words, is not the enemy. It's part of what helps us evolve. Tesla's optimism shines through, even when discussing the most difficult topics. He acknowledges that the road to increasing human energy is filled with dangers: overpopulation, war, greed, ignorance. But he also believes that the solutions are within reach. He sees the future as open-ended, shaped by our decisions, our innovations, and our capacity to think beyond ourselves. In fact, he ends this section of his thinking by reflecting on the importance of the individual's role in this vast system. No matter how large or complex the problems of the world may seem, he insists that each person has a role to play. Every act of invention, cooperation, or self-discipline contributes to the overall increase in human energy. He believed that one person with the right idea and the right motivation could change the destiny of the world. Tesla's vision wasn't just about solving energy shortages. It was about redefining what energy meant in human terms. He challenges us to see progress not as a race for more machines or wealth, but as a deeper quest for alignment with the forces of nature. He calls us to rise, not just technologically, but ethically, intellectually, and spiritually. And with that vision, Tesla laid the groundwork not just for the electricity that lights our homes, but for the kind of thinking that could illuminate our future. Here is part 2. of the YouTube summary script for The Problem of Increasing Human Energy by Nikola Tesla, continuing the same explanatory style and keeping it around 1,800 words. In our previous exploration of Nikola Tesla's monumental essay, we understood his fundamental claim that the future of humanity rests on our ability to control and increase the energy available to us. He argued that all human progress is tied to energy. Now, we move deeper into the second half of his work, where he discusses the future of energy, war, morality, and the role of science in shaping civilization. Tesla begins this phase of his argument by posing a critical challenge. Once we understand the necessity of increasing human energy, how do we actually go about doing it? And what forces are working against this goal? The resistance to progress. Tesla explains that human progress is not just about moving forward, it's also about overcoming resistance. This resistance can be physical, like gravity or friction, but more often, it's mental and societal. Ignorance, superstition, fear of change. These forces act as brakes on the wheel of human advancement. He writes, "The force which retards the onward movement of man is partly frictional and partly negative. To illustrate this distinction, I may mention that a man is pushed back or held fast by a certain resisting force which is frictional, but may also be neutralized or even converted into a propelling force." Here, Tesla subtly introduces an idea that many thinkers ignore. Opposition itself can be harnessed. Resistance is not always an enemy, it can be a motivator. Just like muscles grow under tension, human societies evolve when they face pressure, but that only happens when they have the right tools: education, science, and technology. War and its energy drain. One of the boldest claims Tesla makes is that war is a massive drain on human energy. He writes about how energy is not only lost in the form of destruction and death, but also in the form of misdirected human intellect. The same minds that could solve problems are wasted on planning conflicts. He writes, "A state of peace is favorable to the intellectual development of a nation. War, on the other hand, wastes energy and retards the progress of humanity." But Tesla, unlike many idealists, doesn't suggest that peace will come from politics or treaties alone. He proposes that real peace must come from technology. His reasoning is simple. Once the destructive power of weapons becomes so great that war ensures mutual annihilation, nations will be forced into peace. This insight prefigures what would later be called mutually assured destruction during the nuclear age. Tesla, writing decades earlier, already foresaw that progress in weapons might paradoxically become a path to peace. The power of the human will. Tesla shifts his focus next to a rarely discussed subject in technical essays: the power of the human will. He doesn't mean it in a metaphysical or religious sense, but in a practical one. Human will is the ability to direct energy with purpose. He compares the development of a society to a machine. The more coordinated its parts, the more efficient the output. He writes, "The individual is ephemeral. Races and nations come and pass away, but man remains." Here Tesla urges us to see ourselves not as isolated beings, but as cells in a larger organism, humanity. And just like in the body, when each part functions well and supports the others, the whole becomes stronger. This is why education is so vital. Tesla emphasizes that without knowledge, the human will cannot function effectively. A misinformed will is a dangerous one, but a trained, informed will can shape mountains, harnessing nature's forces. Tesla spends a large portion of this part discussing the practical aspects of increasing energy. He touches on solar power, wind, geothermal energy, and most importantly, the use of electricity. Tesla ends his essay with a vision for the future. He dreams of a world where energy is not a privilege, but a right, where every human being, regardless of their country or class, can access the energy they need to live fully. He describes a future where the Earth's natural forces are used wisely, where deserts bloom, where education lifts every mind, and where war is replaced by cooperation. And while his dreams may seem distant, many of them are now within reach. Solar panels, wind turbines, global internet, electric cars, and even early attempts at wireless power all bear his fingerprints. Tesla's ultimate message is this: human energy is not just about electricity or machines. It's about the full expression of human potential, mental, moral, and physical. When all these forces align, civilization moves forward like a perfectly tuned engine. Final thoughts. Tesla's The Problem of Increasing Human Energy is not merely an essay. It's a roadmap for the human race. It shows us what is possible when vision, science, and morality come together. His questions remain the same ones we face today. How do we feed the world? How do we educate the mind and elevate the soul? How do we use technology without becoming its slave? His answer is simple, yet profound: by increasing human energy, not just in watts or volts, but in wisdom,